we all know why we're here, right? The prop firm industry is going through, I think this is the start of a huge overhaul where the regulators come in and they start to look at every detail on how these things are run. Now, we're not going to talk about what's supposed to happen or what will happen. I'm just going to go over some simple facts, and I'm just going to go over how the US government, the Canadian government, the UK, how they all function when they start to investigate one company and how it trickles down in effect that ultimately affects the entire industry as a whole. Now, my Forex funds, they released a statement saying that yesterday, without prior notice or discussion, a provincial securities regulator in Canada, which Ontario, and the commodities regulator in the US. So Canada and US, they basically worked together without prior notice. They stopped them to access their own funds, right? So the orders preventing us from trading securities or accessing funds in our bank accounts. What does this mean? This means that the regulator in the US and the regulator in Canada, they joined hands, and without prior notice, they froze their bank accounts. What does that mean? Does that mean you're going to get your payouts? Absolutely not. Let's see. Until these freeze orders are lifted or modified, our business is effectively and at least temporarily frozen. So until these freeze orders are taken away, which is not going to happen anytime soon. It's not going to happen in a month. As far as I know, and as far as I understand how this whole thing works when it comes towards finances and all that, and regulators and litigations, this will be at least a year from now. It's not going to get released anytime soon. We will be reaching out to regulators to discuss their concerns, and the first court date to determine whether the freeze orders should be lifted or modified is currently scheduled for September 11 in the US. So remember, right? The company is registered in Canada, my Forex funds, right? They're registered in Canada, but the court date, the main one, is at least going to be in the US. So you're still not safe, right? With another hearing later that same week in Canada, right? So first in Canada, then you got to go to the US. How can you fight to regulate? We hope to have this matter resolved as soon as possible, and we'll update this message as the events occur. Now, here's what's going to happen, right? At least for my Forex funds, I mean, I can just shed some light on what's going to happen now. What's going to happen now is that once these court hearings start, so whenever you go in, so for people who don't know what happens when you go in court, I'm sure a lot of you watching right now, you know exactly what happens in a court. When you go in court, you're basically undressing yourself of all moral, financial, ethical values, right? They basically want to look at you transparently, and they want to see exactly, okay, we want to know exactly how you're running your business. This is what a court hearing is, right? When you go to court, they will want to know your KYC. How many clients you have, right? How many of those clients have you done KYC for, right? Next, they would want to know all your operations, where your bank accounts are, where the money's coming from, who's sending you the money, how are you getting this money, right? Next, they would want to know who your technology provider is, right? Who's giving you the technology? If you have liquidity, okay, who's giving you liquidity, right? Why are they giving you liquidity when we saw what you're doing is we think is not right? Why are they giving you liquidity? And then they're going to get to those liquidity providers and they say, hey guys, what made you give liquidity to this company, and who else are you giving liquidity to in Canada and US? Now, I'm not saying this is going to happen, next week, next month, eventually, because here's the US government, SEC, Canadian government, their hands are like tentacles, right? And when these tentacles start going, these tentacles really start going deep. So they're going to ask questions to liquidity providers, these prime of prime, top tier liquidity, whoever they are. They're going to say, okay, oh, hey, US government, this is the list of all the Canadian prop firms we're giving liquidity to, and this is the list of all the US prop firms we're giving liquidity to. I'm sorry, I gotta have my coffee. Then they're all going to turn around and say, oh shit, okay, let's go all to them, right? Let's see who else was advertising in Canada, in US, in UK, and giving these services. Now, you can mask these services however you want. You can say, oh no, we're just giving securities, we're just giving dividends and this and that. Man, listen, a thief that robs a car and a thief that does ethical financial crime, at the end of the day, they're both thieves, right? I'm not saying prop firms are thieves, but I'm just giving you some sort of a relation, right? That's what it is. You can have a prop firm saying that, okay, you get a payout, the payout comes from subscription, here you go. Or you can mask that as, okay, we're a prop firm, we just do securities, we're giving you dividends. It's the same thing, right? If you think that you can outsmart the US government and you can outsmart Canadian law, where they have people there sitting with legit degrees and legit, like, you can't outsmart these people. They're way smarter than, if you think that you're smarter than them, you got to be the most dumbest person alive in the world. Right now, here's what I think is going to happen. Regulation, which I talked about, is going to come in very, very soon for the prop firms, right? And this is the start of that regulation. This is a snowball effect. And once this snowball keeps rolling, it's going to come after everybody. It's going to come after, I'm not going to say it will, but this is just how I see things unfolding, right? I see a lot of prop firms advertising on YouTube, Instagram, Google, and those prop firms are registered in the US, Canada, UK. If you're registered in these 3 companies, man, you're gonna get in trouble really soon, because as I said, even though you can say, oh, we're safe, nothing's gonna happen, like, you know, like these big companies, TFT, like FTMO is safe because FTMO is not registered in the US. Anyone registered in the US, Canada, UK, you have to put a invisible blanket on from Harry Potter, and you gotta hope, you have to hope that they don't catch you. It's gonna happen because they came after my Forex funds. What makes you think that they're not gonna come after anyone else, right? What makes you think? Because what makes you think that someone in my Forex funds is not gonna go to the regulators and say, well, hey guys, there are other prop firms running as well. There's prop firm like this. There's one big company that gives technology to all these prop firms based in the US, right? Like, don't you think it's gonna happen? Don't you think that's exactly what's gonna happen? That's what I think. And you can say, like, you know, I know some guys are gonna say, oh no, but we do this, but it was the broker, but it was this, but it was that. Man, listen, even if this was a broker, even if it's an offshore broker hosting a prop firm registered in the US and Canada on their prop firm, guess what the broker's gonna do? Broker's gonna say, oh, hey guys, there's some shit going down in the US and Canada, and we're hosting you. Yeah, we don't want to host you anymore, so you're on your own. Any prop firm company registered in the US and Canada that is on a regulated broker, those brokers are eventually going to say, oh, hey, like, we don't want any problems with the US government. We don't want any problems with the Canadian government. So, guys, we will be letting you guys go because all the money we made from you, from giving you accounts and, like, you know, charging you on liquidity, it was all good. But now this happy marriage has to come to an end. That's where I see things going. And this is what I said a couple months ago, that the regulation is going to come in, and everyone said, oh no, Raja's not going to come in. Man, Raja's been around the industry for about 7 years. Raja knows what he's talking about. You know, me, Raja, I'm a different person on Twitter, on Instagram, but when it comes to this shit, when it comes to my industry, I know exactly what's going on. So, next, if you are, next, here's what I'm going to do. Now, I'm not trying to do some fear mongering. I know some guys are going to say, Raja's just doing fear mongering. It's facts. This is facts. People who had money in MFF, I know this is the question, right? People who had money in my Forex funds, if you're awaiting payouts, you're not going to see your payouts for a very long time, right? Because the US government and Canadian government will do their due diligence. Here's what's going to happen. Here's what they do, right? They have priorities, right? So, freezing operations, freezing banks was at the highest priority, right? Resolving this matter is at the lowest priority. You get me? What's the highest priority is the financial crime, which do like billions, and that's the highest priority. Prop firms is a low priority, so they're going to deal with it at the lowest priority, not the highest one, at the lowest priority. So it's going to take time. It's going to take like at least a year. If you're waiting for your payout, I don't want to say this, but forget about it. If this hurts you in some way, so be it. That's a reality of life, right? That's how it works. Forget about your payouts. Now, if you are on a prop firm in the US or Canada, I would say maybe don't leave money in there, right? Keep getting your payouts. Keep getting your payouts. And this also goes for people who own a prop firm in the US and Canada and the UK. Start to get off. I'm not giving any financial advice. This is not advice. This is just something, like, okay, let me reword this. If you were registered outside of the US and Canada and UK, you're safe. But if you're registered in the US and Canada and UK, maybe a month from now, 2 months from now, 3 months from now, they're coming for you. They're coming for you. They're coming for the company. They're coming for the company accounts. They may come for your personal accounts too. If the company is registered under your name, you're going to get investigated. Same thing's happening with MFF. So here's what we say in our industry, right? That learn from the mistakes people have made in the past. Funding Talent was running really good. What happened? Exactly same thing happened to Funding Talent. This was like what, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago? Same thing happened to Funding Talent. What happened? No one learned. MFF, same, kind of like the same company, prop firm, right? Same company, registered in Ontario, Canada. Same thing happened to them now. How many mistakes? Like we have to learn when companies fall or when people make mistakes. We have to learn from that, and then we have to grow and secure ourselves. That's what we have to do, right? But people don't understand. I think a lot of these prop firms are run by inexperienced personnel who have no clue how financial industry works. They have no clue how regulatory authority works. If you think your company is registered in Delaware, that it's safe, still in the US, it's still in the US, still gonna come for you, so that's what I'm saying. Like all these companies, they're run by people who are not experienced in the financial world, and they think that they can use these fancy terms and they can have this lingo in their policies. Your policies mean shit. They don't mean anything. When the hammer of regulation comes down, these policies don't mean anything. So if you were on a prop firm, I think this is going to be a good idea to start getting payouts, right? Start to get payouts, because I think this is a ticking bomb, right? Funding Talent went down to the regulators. My Forks Funds is down now through the regulators. I don't think they're going to see the money again. I don't think so. There's going to be a big fine. There's going to be a huge fine which they'll have to pay. And after paying that fine, they're not going to have enough money to pay people out. That's how I see things, right? And who's going to be number 3? Who's going to be number 3, right? Let me know in the comments. Who's going to be number 3? Who's going to be number 3? Number 3, the third one is coming soon from the US or Canada, right? And I can foresee all this thing about like everyone who was a funded millionaire on MFF. You're not a millionaire now. You're back down to zero. But anyway, jokes aside, this is something serious. And the owners of prop firms listening to me right now, this is serious. This is going to affect your business. This is going to affect the way you operate. It's going to affect your clients. It's going to affect everything that you do, right? So don't say I'm fear-mongering. It's facts. This is where things are going. So if you're an owner of a prop firm in the US and Canada, I'd say maybe start to look somewhere else. That's going to be good. But It's very interesting to see where things are going. But thank you all for joining in. I took the time out of my day to do this because I was getting a lot of messages. I was getting a lot of DMs and Twitter DMs. Hey Raja, what's happening? When can I get my money back? So this is what I think is going to happen, right? So take care. Have a great day. We're going to see you guys on Monday for the live streams, and hopefully we may do a simulation session on simulations next weekend. No, this weekend, but I don't know. We'll see. Take care, everyone. Be safe.